from the time I start to the time I finish on any individual piece that I'm working on is between 3 to 5 months. And it says, gee, that sounds like it's a lot of work. Well, I can only do maybe 1 or 2 coats of varnish or paint a day, depending on the weather, because it doesn't dry. And if I put it on too thick, or if it's not consistently dry or ready for the next coat, I get a crack-allure that'll go down through the varnish or the paint layer, which is very difficult to fill in. So when I started painting, I had to try to make my paintings feel like or work somewhat similar to what my earlier paper works were. Now, in the show at Leslie Sachs, the main yellow painting is called Intellectual. The sanded pieces came directly after the sewn pieces, the layers of activity and work and color, and sanding them down. So there's there's one very colorful piece. I titled it Pan-Hellenic Prosperity. It's one of my earlier pieces. It's on a black and white checkerboard pattern. And I did 2 paintings that are very similar. One was called Stars Fell Over Alabama, but that doesn't have the checkerboard. That one has a black and blue background after I decided that I didn't need the activity of the checkerboard. So I just made a solid color in the background. But originally I was worried about the activity on picture frame or in canvas. I wanted to have your eye jumping around. Maybe you'd read the checkerboard in the back, maybe you wouldn't. But so I made 2 or 3 of those paintings and then decided they didn't need to be at the checkerboard. I saw an exhibition catalog of Cuba textiles at somebody's house, and there's a piece in this show. It's a black and white piece. And after I saw this book of these African textiles, it gave me an idea for my second body of painted works. And I was so happy to stop sanding my paintings and to go on to something different, that I felt that I could just abandon all the old sanding works and went straight on to straight painting. Just after Frank Gehry did the museum in Bilbao, we decided to take a trip to the north of Spain. There was a great article in the New York Times about the coast north of Spain, and we were in Paris, and my Paris art dealer, Mr. Baudouin Lebon, said, oh, I had to go visit the painted caves. So I went in with my wife, Victoria. We took a tour of this cave, and I thought nothing of it. Well, that was in June, and in October of that year, I started having recurring dreams about an image that I saw in the cave. It was, I think, a series of 6 red dots. And there were 6 red dots at the bottom of the cave. And sure enough, the red dot paintings are called red dot paintings. And we don't have any of those in my exhibition. But what we do have is a piece called bastoncillos. I call them clubs, you know, they look like clubs that are in the show. And that's a cave painting from northern Spain. I think they're in Cantabria, and they are pretty much made at the same time as my dot paintings at about 17,000 years ago. I started developing those paintings when I won the National Endowment for the Arts Award in 1992, because in 1993 I had artist in residence in France. Idea was to develop an image or some paintings that I could take with me, that I could paint with minimal amount of materials. As a matter of fact, I pre-stretched and took canvases that were 12 by 15 inches, 12 by 16. They would fit in a wine box, and I had them small enough that I could transport. And I think I must have worked on about 16 paintings in 6 months. Well, I was working on them at the end of the Tour de France, and I believe the Movistar team, the Tour de France, had dark blue, black. The Katusha team, I just thought they were cool because they were Russians. So Russians are red, violets are blue. And the Movistar team was blackish blue, and that's how I got the titles. Usually I get the titles from my paintings from listening to the television or the radio or reading a newspaper during the day. My earlier work was sewn paper and cloth.